Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here to do an update about vanilla. So where I get my beans, how I store them, how I make the extract, plus a few other things. So let's get into this. I'm going to start off with the making of the vanilla extract itself for those who want to get right to that. Now I've done it so many ways through the years. Even since having my channel, I've changed it up so many times. I've tried it with glycerin, I've tried it with vodka, I've tried it with spiced rum, I've tried it with spiced rum mixed with homemade wine, spiced rum mixed with honey, which that one is pretty good, I will say. But one I've decided I prefer best is the making it with spiced rum. Now you can use whatever you want as your solvent for your vanilla, but I do prefer the spiced rum. I get it from Costco for the best price. This is what their bottle used to look like. This is what their bottle looks like now. And that's, since it still is a more expensive alcohol than vodka, when it comes to making extracts, this is the only thing it gets used for. And in my personal opinion, the spiced rum not only gets a really good extract, unlike the glycerin water mixture, it also just lends to the best flavor in general. So I went from just making my extracts in little bottles like this and then just rotating them, because I have a whole bunch of these bottles. Now I use a lot of these bottles for other types of flavored extracts that I make, but I hardly ever use like the orange or raspberry, cherry, peppermint, etc. I use them once in a while. I just tend to forget them, but vanilla gets used all the time. Now you see there's a date on here because as this is to signify when I refilled this bottle. So this is a bottle that stays in the kitchen and it gets refilled from my Perpetual vanilla extract that I started following Mary over at Mary's Nest, her example, but still using my own different solvent blends. And again, constantly trying it. And the homemade wine does work. It just lends a different flavor to it because it's still going to have its own distinct flavor. And it was so-so. But yeah, in the beginning, I would just do one bottle at it, have each bottle extracting, take that out and use it. And then by the time I got done, I'd be ready for the next bottle and then just keep rotating like that. And then I found out about the Perpetual vanilla extract and really liked the idea. Like, you get a big jar, you put a whole bunch of vanilla beans in there, and then you top it off with whatever solvent you're going to use. Let it sit for, I would say, a minimum of 6 months. And then when you start using it, every time you use it, like every time I'd fill up my bottle, I would top it off. So before, like, here's a little short that I did where I was using a mixture of raw honey and spiced rum. I think I was doing 3 parts spiced rum to 1 part honey, but now I'm just doing strictly the spiced rum. And then I mix that up first and then pour it in there and then let it set. I decided to start dating it. I wanted to find out exactly, because I knew if I wrote on the calendar, I might forget about it or that calendar might get thrown out. But thankfully, I marked on the bottle itself, because I did throw out the calendar from last year, last time I refilled this bottle. And it's been over 3 months. So it took me over 3 months to work through one bottle. Well, in my personal opinion, even if I'm adding a couple of fresh vanilla beans to this, which I didn't do every time, I just do it like maybe every other time, add a couple more vanilla beans just to make sure it's staying pretty strong. In my personal opinion, 3 months just isn't quite long enough. So what I've done is I've started a second one in a smaller jar, because I don't have another one like this, but that's okay. And I like using these recycled green olive jars for extracts these days. So I did start a fresh one here with just the spiced rum, and I dated it so that I could allow this to sit for a very minimum of 6 months. And so what I'm going to be doing is working through this one at least somewhat. And then I'll top it off. I've got some more I'm going to say about that, but let me just talk about how I started this one. And everybody has their own little style. When I first started doing it, I just cut I'd take the long vanilla bean and cut it in half just so I could just stick it in there. And you'll see there's actually still vanilla beans in here. I always just leave them in there. I think those vanilla beans have been in there for a few years now, but I'm not worried about it. I just leave it in there. I'm all about trying to get as much out of the vanilla bean as I can, which is one of the reasons why I like this idea. But at any rate, in this case, what I did was I split them lengthwise. So I took a sharp knife and just cut them lengthwise. And since they could fit down in this jar without me having to cut them in half the other way, I went ahead and left them like that. But you can also cut them in half. Some people like to scrape out the soft center where the seeds and all that are, the pulp. I just split them in half, made sure I pulled them apart, and that way you're going to get a much better extraction than just sticking the bean in there whole or cutting them half the other way like I did when I was doing them this way. I still got a good extraction, but you're going to get a lot more flavor. Now for this jar, which is, it's about a quart. It's not, I can't remember if it's a little bit more, a little bit less. It's taller than your standard quart jar like you'll see here, but it's also a little bit more narrow. So it's pretty close to being a quart. So anyway, the very minimum I will let this sit is 6 months, but it will be longer than that because I want to work through about half of this, get down to here, and then I will add to this, and then I'll start using this. So it could even be up to a year by the time I get there. So the reason I haven't topped this off is so that I could let what's in here continue extracting for at least another 3 months until I get to finish off this, and then I will fill this bottle up again. And again, the longer you allow it to sit, I mean, they always say at least 2 months, 8 weeks to 2 months. In my personal opinion, it's just not long enough. You don't get enough flavor. 6 months should actually be your minimum for extraction, and you can even leave it for years. It's not going to spoil. So now let's talk about the vanilla beans themselves and storing them. So this jar, by the way, is from 2015. And I was stocking up on vanilla beans wherever I could find a good price. And instead of buying a whole bunch at once, I was spreading it out. And then I would just keep adding them to the jar until I got the jar full. And in between, each time I did that, I would vacuum seal the jar. And then once I got this jar packed full, I started another jar. Vacuum sealing your vanilla beans into jars. You can freeze them if you want, but I just find that totally unnecessary. I find the vacuum sealing like this preserves the flavor much better, and I have had absolutely no issues. And then the other thing I also wanted to cover is where I get my vanilla beans now for the best price is Vanilla Bean Kings. And I was so excited to be able to set up an affiliate with them as well, because with that affiliate, you can save a percentage by going through my link. And then I also get to earn a little commission at the same time, which is really nice because that helps us. It's a win-win. It's a win for you because you get a discount, a win for me because especially with what YouTube's been doing to me and hardly making any revenue anymore off my videos, at least that's a way that can help make up the difference of what I've lost. So anyway, I highly recommend Vanilla Bean Kings. They're great. If you're looking to stock up on beans or just you're wanting to get into making your own vanilla extract, then yeah, go check out the link. I'll try to make sure I move it to the top of the description box to make it easier to find. And then I also wanted to give an update. As for those who've been following me for a little while and they know I was trying an experiment with the vanilla oil. This was my second batch. I thought maybe my first batch went rancid because I allowed it to get too hot because it just didn't taste right. So I kept this just in a warm area but not hot. And it has been going for 2 months and I thought I would taste it. It is terrible. So I don't know if it's the fractionated coconut oil just isn't lending a good flavor over time. I'm not really sure what the deal is, but it tastes terrible. My idea of trying to do an oil extraction with the vanilla was to see if it would be something I could use to add to my homemade chocolates, because when you're making chocolate, an extract doesn't mix real well with that. So I thought I'd try the oil. it's awful. However, it still has a great smell, so I will be using it in skincare products. So we'll add a nice smell to my skin cream, and just for myself. I'm not going to add this to the stuff that I sell. But or even just using it as is, just to add to the ends of my hair after I wash my hair. So I get that nice smell plus a little leave-in conditioner. And the nice thing about the fractionated coconut oil is that it's not going to leave my hair or feeling heavy and greasy. So anyway, do not recommend this if you're wanting to use it for food. Again, I just did a little jar because I wanted to experiment with it and see, and I won't be doing that again. However, what I do plan on doing, I haven't tried it yet. I've heard of people doing this, is some people ask, well, what do you do with the expended vanilla beans? Because once I get to about halfway on this jar here, and it might even be after I refill this the next time, what I'm going to do is take out all or most of the vanilla beans that are in here. Now there's actually quite a bit in there because I kept adding to. And I'm going to try taking some of them. It's going to be a while because I'm going to wait till I get serious into dehydrating season and I'm starting to do all my herbs that are coming in. I'm going to try dehydrating them and seeing if I can powder them and see if that would be something that will work well to add to things like the chocolates and other things where like an extract isn't going to mix as well. It'll be hard to know for certain until I do it how much flavor is going to be remaining in those beans. But what I often do, I still will try to get as much out of the beans anyway. And if I ever take any beans out, which I have taken some out and put fresh ones in, I just set them aside and then use them to add to my tea. So I'll put them in when I'm making a pot of tea. I'll throw in one of those vanilla beans, simmer the tea with, especially if I'm doing things like cinnamon or ginger, things that need to simmer for a bit. And then if I'm going to use delicate herbs, I'll put those in separately after the tea has been simmering for a while, and then set it aside and then just let it steep. So I'm not damaging the delicate herbs, but I'm getting as much out of the harder, woodier items, turkey tail, etc. But anyway, the vanilla bean is a nice way to just add a little more flavor to that. So that's how I've been using them. And just remember, once you've made your vanilla extract, it can last for years because the alcohol in itself is a preservative. It does not spoil. Honey does not spoil. If you want to try the honey and rum mixture or honey and vodka, whatever it is you like to use. Some people like to use bourbon. These things are not going to spoil. It will have an indefinite shelf life. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my vanilla video, and any thoughts, ideas you'd like to share, please put those in comments down below. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.